podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Hey guys, welcome to another week here on Ring Around The Rosie. I'm Kim Brown, aka Platinum Rose Lady, aka the Twit with the Mic, hosting this show on May 30th, 2018. I hope everybody's week's been going pretty okay, and good, you know. I hope everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day, took a moment to say a thank you to those who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can all have our freedoms, which include me being on this mic rabbiting about whatever happens to be going through my head at that moment. Hooray! It was kind of a weird Memorial Day up here weather-wise, because obviously, Memorial Day, a lot of people view it as the unofficial start of summer, and so there's a lot of, cookouts and barbecues and, outdoor parties and fun stuff like that in a lot of places, in the country. Not up here. Not on Monday. Monday around here, it was, kind of drizzly and misty out, and it was in the 50s. And all the weather people were talking about was like, the fact that it was so cold and, complaining about it. And everybody's all whine, bitch, moan, complain. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. This is perfect. I am not a hot weather person. I'm just not. I mean, some people are spring, summer people. I am a fall, winter person. I don't do summer well. I never have my whole life. And because summer in Massachusetts can be really beautiful, I'm not saying it can't, it can be very beautiful and, sunny, nice days and, breezes off the ocean, and that's really nice. Until it's hot as fuck and it's so humid you feel like you couldn't slice the air with a chainsaw, and these clouds of mosquitoes look like they're thick enough to carry away a small child. Then it kind of sucks. Be perfectly honest with you. So it was a pretty, kind of chilly Memorial Day, and everybody was all bummed out about it. And I'm like, what? This weather's perfect for me. That and the fact that I don't tan. I'm not one of these people that goes out and tans. I just don't. I go from white to red. That's it. There's no in between. There's no moment where it's like, oh, that's a nice bronze. Nope. It goes straight to angry lobster just out of the pot red. That's me. Oh well. Obviously the other thing that happens around Memorial Day is the big kickoff of the summer movie blockbuster stuff, all the big movies coming out and stuff like that. Although I think probably like the biggest movie of probably of 2018 already came out, Avengers Infinity War Part 1, holy shit, which if you haven't seen it is fucking awesome in a soul-crushing, I'm completely destroyed and want to crawl into a bottle of gin kind of way. But it was a great movie. I really loved it. Of course, the other large movie I think is the Solo, A Star Wars Story, which we've seen, my guy and I. I have to be honest, being an enormous hardcore warsy, which that would be me and not him, I was kind of like, every time I saw a trailer for this movie, I was like, I mean, I was like, okay, I'm kind of feeling it. As it kept going, I kept being more like, okay, I'm getting more excited. It took me a little while to get there. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's fun. It's fun. It's not, like I said, it's not flawless, but, it's not terrible either. Ignore the haters, go see it for yourself is what I'm basically trying to say. Before I talk about the Raw and Smackdown results for this week, I wanted to talk about something that I really hadn't given a whole lot of thought to until I saw a post on Reddit that really lit a fire under my butt. They were talking about this, this whole issue going on in NXT where you have a male competitor and a female competitor getting in each other's faces. And it made me think back to a lot of the times when there's been the whole battle of the sexes thing going on in wrestling. Now, obviously, times have changed. For good or for ill is each person's interpretation, and goodness knows I'm not going to sway anybody to my way of thinking, even though I'm right. Thought I'd slip that in, see if any of you caught it. Back in the day, like way back in the day, you had male wrestling matches and you had female wrestling matches. Men fought men, women fought women, and that was it. The most interaction you'd have gender-wise would be if somebody had a valet. Now, obviously, the whole or a female manager. Usually, females were valets, not managers. Every once in a while, you'd have a manager like Sherry Martel or somebody like that. But usually, if a woman came out to the ring with a guy, they usually came out and they were their valet. They took their jacket, they stood there and cheered for them, and so on and so forth, and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes they would get physically involved. Now, depending on what part of the country you were in, as to how the wrestler who was getting the brunt of the female's abuse would handle it. And, because certain parts of the country, let's be honest, were a little bit more, I don't know how to word this and sound like I'm insulting anybody, so I'm going to be very careful and choose my words very carefully. Let me put it this way. When David Von Erich grabbed a hold of Sunshine, turned her over his knee and spanked her, I'm pretty sure there were no howls of outrage coming from the Lone Star State, because they were probably like, the uppity bitch got what she had coming, Other places got a little bit more physical when it came to, retaliation against female interference. Case in point, the number of times that Beulah McGillicuddy or Francine or any of the other females in ECW got sent through tables, got pile drivers, got so on and so forth, physical stuff. But since it was called Extreme Championship Wrestling, you knew they weren't going to get just a finger wag and, oh, you bad girl kind of a thing. I mean, come on. This is the crowd that used to chant, she's a crack whore at people, Sorry, lost in the nostalgia for a minute. My big thing is that, so I'm reading this article, just jumping back to the thing I was reading on Reddit. So people were talking about the whole male versus female thing, and somebody brought up a point and made a point, and I'm sure they didn't mean for this to come off as it sounded, but basically they were saying men have more stamina than women. I beg your fucking pardon? Men have more stamina than women. Okay. I promised myself I wasn't going to go off on a real shrieking tirade about this because I don't want to sound like a harpy, but, some women, not all women, but a lot of women carry another human being inside their body for 9 months. And then they have to give birth to said human being, passing said human being through a point of exit that is not very large, assuming that you don't have to have your stomach sliced open so you can have said small human being removed from. Women don't have as much stamina as men? Fuck you. Sorry. My other argument toward that thing is kick a man in the crotch and kick a woman in the crotch and see who gets up first. Guarantee you, it's not going to be the man. Most men, in my experience, if you kick them in the groin, they lie there and, whimper for minutes on end. I bring all this up also because that's something else that has always bothered me about wrestling. In the fact that I'm not saying that you could put a slight woman in the ring with a larger man and conceive and have her win over him. Because let's be honest, wrestling is about professional wrestling is about suspension of disbelief, but let's not go nuts. But the one thing that's always bothered me about professional wrestling, always, is this whole double standard thing that goes on where you'll have a woman slap a man, hit a man, do whatever to a man, and then do this whole, oh, you can't hit me because I'm a woman thing. Bullshit. And that's coming from a woman. If you hit somebody, you better be prepared for them to hit you back. I can't say I've gotten a lot of physical fights in my life, but if somebody, if I hit somebody, I'd expect them to hit me back. And just the fact that I have a uterus should not be the thing that stops them from hitting me back. I might knock them out cold, which is possible, and that might be why they don't hit me. But other than that, other than the fact that I am a phenomenally dirty fighter and do tend to bite, but that's always really driven me insane. Even when you had a woman who was a physically imposing woman, like, for an example, Nicola Roberts, aka Baby Doll, she was a tall woman, and she definitely looked like she could handle herself in a physical situation. But if she slapped somebody, then it would be like, oh, well, you can't hit me because I'm a girl. Fuck that shit. I'm sorry, fuck that shit. We want girls, we tell girls, oh, you can do anything a man can do. Well, if a girl gets herself in a situation where she puts herself in a physical situation, then she better be able to back it up. Now, obviously, I'm talking about in a professional wrestling match, storyline stuff, all of that. I'm not talking about real life. If you're a woman in a real situation where your boyfriend's smacking you around or some shit, or if you are a guy and your woman's smacking you around, and yes, that does happen, get out. Don't try and go toe to toe with somebody, because that's a good way to get yourself killed. Nobody should get hit in a relationship, whether you're a man or a woman. Nobody should be hitting anybody unless, it's sexy times, in the bedroom, and that's your thing, because we don't kink shame here on this show. I don't know. We always tell girls, stand up for yourself and stuff like that. So I just kind of wonder what kind of a message that says when girls are in the ring and being physical and stuff, and then all of a sudden when it's, oh, well, you can't hit me because I'm a girl. I've always felt like that is such bullshit. I always felt like that is sending the worst fucking message possible. It also, there's other cases where I was like, okay, that's sending a terrible message. And I hate to sound like I'm slandering the dead or anything like that. I don't mean to. But the whole kind of thing that they started when Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth debuted in the WWF back in the day, and she was this passive kind of meek woman that just kind of let him boss her around and shit. That I was like, this is sending a horrible, horrible message. I'd just like to point that out. But, that was back in the day, and things are different now. I'm not saying things are better. I'm just saying things are different. So I'd really like to know your opinion on that. What do you guys think? Do you think that we've gotten beyond the point where, if a woman slaps a guy in the face, then, I'm not saying that a guy should, pick up a chair and blast her with it, but, if you're gonna dance, you better be ready to pay the band. I'd really like your opinion on that. PlatinumRoselle@yahoo.com. I will definitely read it on the air if you'd like me to do that. So moving forward with this week's Raw and Smackdown result as we march our way toward the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. This past Monday, Raw was coming from Richmond, Virginia at the Coliseum. And the show opened up with a video talking about Memorial Day and, you know, the whole sacrifices that have been made by people so that we can have our freedoms, which is obviously something that's a debt that we really can't ever repay to the people who, you know, gave it all to keep this country free and the greatest country in the world, you know. We have Braun Strowman coming down to the ring first because he's Braun Strowman and he goes pretty much where he wants. In the ring, he's, you know, talking about how he's going to run over everybody else in the Money in the Bank match and going to call himself Mr. Monster in the Bank. Yeah, because that's not a mouthful or completely awkward. As he's talking, out comes Finn Balor, and at first things in the ring are a little bit sort of cordial-ish, kind of, until Braun says that at the match they had the week previously, that Finn put up a very good fight for a little guy. Okay. Far be it from me to ever accuse Braun Strowman of being passive-aggressive. I'm just going to accuse him of being aggressive. Which that led to Finn slapping Braun and Braun grabbing Finn and throwing him across the ring. And, you know, this obviously was going to get completely out of hand quickly, which brings out General Manager Kurt Angle, who announces that they're going to have a rematch from the match last week, and it's now. So we have Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor to kick off the show, and Kevin Owens coming out to join the announcers on commentary because everybody all together, we can't have nice things. The match ended in a disqualification because Kevin Owens had to get involved and attacked Finn and knocked him off of the top turnbuckles. Kevin grabbed a ladder and started beating on Finn with it, pulled the ladder into the ring and went to go after Braun, which just shows that Kevin Owens is dumber than he looks, and that's really saying a lot. Who, needless to say, is basically like, you're cute. Grabs the ladder, and Owens does what Owens does best, run, which leads to, you've heard of the hammer toss, so apparently the new Olympic event is going to be ladder tossing. Braun grabs the ladder and chucks it, and it, almost hits Owens with it, and Owens continues to run as Braun heads out to the back. We see we get some video footage of Jinder Mahal beating on Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins from the week prior. And we see Elias tuning up his guitar, and he said that he's going to be on Raw coming up, very soon. In the back, Kevin is trying to get out of the building, and Kurt Angle walks up to him and asks where he's going. And when Kevin tries playing it off that he's going to go look at the fireworks and parades and stuff like that, Angle's like, no, you're actually not. You're going to be going to have a match this evening, and you're going to be in a match against one of the people that he was talking shit about on commentary, and he told him to go get dressed. And Kevin Owens proceeds to scream like a toddler being denied an ice cream as he heads back to the locker room. We get a promo from Sasha Banks talking about the gauntlet match that's coming up this evening. Then we get Elias in the ring, asking for total concentration as he plays his music. He starts playing and then stops, starts complaining about the lighting, starts complaining about the crowd, just basically starts complaining because you're not annoying enough. After a commercial, Elias is still in the ring, yelling at the fans, telling the fans that he was going to leave, and the fans started yelling, leave. Personally, I would have started the na na hey hey goodbye song going, but that's just me. Out comes Seth Rollins. It was Seth Rollins' birthday on Monday. Happy birthday, Seth. Elias stayed in the ring, and now all of a sudden is pissed off that he didn't get to perform because you pissed away all your time, dumbass. There's a face-off between Seth Rollins and Elias leaves. And we get an intercontinental match with champion Seth Rollins going against Jinder Mahal. And Jinder winds up winning by disqualification because Seth Rollins took a chair that Jinder had hit him with previously and decided to beat the living crap out of Jinder with it. And Rollins gets disqualified because fuck if I know. I'm like, all right, what? Seth chased after Jinder, chased him up the aisle, hitting him with the chair several more times. Sunil Singh tried to get involved and Seth gave him a chair. Yay. And there was much rejoicing. Seth got on the announcer's table, showing off for the crowd. And which, of course, that brings out Elias, who smashes Seth in the back with his guitar, which sent him off the stage and to the ground below. You had to figure something like that I was like, seriously, I'm going, they're going to make him drop that belt. They're going to make him drop that belt on his birthday. And I was like, okay, they didn't do that, but they did I'm like, you guys, fucking A. The writing, really? After a commercial break, Seth Rollins is seen on a stretcher, and he's telling the EMTs and the officials to give him a second because he wants to leave under his own power. And the fans were singing happy birthday. You guys could kind of try and play along a little. I realize it's asking for a lot, but you could try and play along, a little tiny bit. Rollins got off the stretcher and managed to leave on his own two legs. He did have some help from Jamie Noble and Adam Pearce. So, we see Nia Jax come out to the ring. As she's almost to the ring, out comes her opponent for Money in the Bank, Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Ronda goes and sits with the announcers, and Nia got in the ring. She said that she was pleased that Ronda was there for the match that was coming up, so she could see what was going to happen to her at the upcoming pay-per-view. So Nia has a match with a young woman named Michelle Webb. It's what do you think it's going to be? It's what happens when Nia Jax gets in the ring with anybody who's not Ronda Rousey. So, and they have a more, verbal back and forth and stuff like that. Ronda came down to the ring and got in the ring and gave that look to Nia that usually makes people go, oh crap, I'm fucking dead. Nia brings up that she thinks that it's cute, and she turned her back on Ronda and left the ring. Okay, now, see, that's an example of what I was saying earlier. If you put a cruiserweight person in there with Nia Jax, if you put a male cruiserweight in there with Nia Jax, I think she'd kill them. I really think she could kick their ass and have it be believable. So don't give me, women don't have as much stamina as men, stuff like that. It depends on the woman. It depends on the man. Don't fall back into your comfortable patriarchy bullshit, because we ain't having it no more. Deal. We have a promo with Dana Brooke, talking about how she's going to win the gauntlet match. Then we get the tag team champions of Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. I still don't get this. I really and truly, honest to blog, don't get it. Going against the Ascension. It's, it's what it is. Their whole, weird. Now that they call them the deleters of worlds, I'm like, what is that? I don't get it. Connor winds up taking the kiss of deletion, and that sets up the pin, and Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy are still your tag team champions, like there was any doubt of that. The announcement is made that there will be a match later on in the evening with one of the people that Kevin Owens was talking shit about, and that would be the glorious one, Bobby Roode, and I start laughing. Kind of like the Joker, which I do sometimes. We have a backstage segment with the B team. Oh boy. Talking smack about Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. They're complaining that they want a tag team shot and start begging Kurt Angle for one. Kurt's basically like, no, you haven't earned it. He says, there's other tag teams, and they probably would be kind of pissed off that you two seem to think that you deserve a shot more than them. And Bo's interpretation of that was that they needed to get the other team's blessings. So they decide they're going to invite all the other tag teams to the B Team Memorial Day barbecue. Okay, I might not be a psychic, and I don't play one on TV, but why am I seeing a food fight in the immediate future? A promo with the Riot Squad where they're talking about, that they're whoever wins it, that means that they all win, that kind of a deal. Kevin Owens versus Bobby Roode. We have a lot of back and forth between the fans. You have some people cheering for Kevin Owens and some people cheering for Bobby Roode. And nobody getting a "that side sucks" chant going, which is, I always liked that. That was always fun. Excuse me. The winner of the match at the end of it all winds up being Kevin Owens after a botched sunset flip on Roode's part. Kevin doesn't get to celebrate very long, though, because as Braun Strowman's music comes out, and Owens gets chased around the ring by Braun, and Bobby Roode keeps Kevin from escaping. Then Braun grabbed a hold of Kevin, threw him back in the ring, and nailed him with a running power slam. And considering the fact that he just had a pretty, physical match with him and doesn't like him anyway, Bobby Roode's enjoying the hell out of this. And kind of goads Braun into doing the power slam again. Instead, Braun did the power slam again and then suddenly realized, wait, I don't work for you. And then grabbed a hold of Bobby Roode and gave him a power slam as well. So Braun Strowman's a very giving person. Yay! I'm trying to put a positive spin on this because Braun Strowman really legit fucking scares me. We get a commercial, block of commercials. Sami Zayn comes out after that. The announcing team says that he is out there to make a public apology for the whole Bobby Lashley segment that was the week before. I'm sorry, so shouldn't that be the writers out there apologizing and possibly giving us back that time that we'll never get back again or something, or not? I don't know. So Sammy gets on the mic and starts talking about how, what he did, went too far, and that the management wants him to issue an apology. He's got, paper in hand, and that he talks about the segment that he did and the ideas that he had and that they were inappropriate, that it was in bad taste, that, he's been taking a drubbing on social media, and lots of people were sending him texts and emails, basically asking WTF. That he was, even to be topical, brought up the gentleman in Syracuse who was being evicted from his house by his parents, that guy DM'd him and was like, dude, what are you thinking? Sammy tries to play it off and say that it was just him trying to be entertaining and that he wasn't trying to be provocative or anything like that or provoke anybody, and that those were in fact men and not Bobby Lashley's sisters. Oh, gasp. I'm shocked. I'm beyond shocked. I'm sorry. That was still better acting than Sami Zayn's, really. He says that he wants to let the WWE Universe and the Lashley family know that he is sorry. And then it goes into, however. And he says that it should be something that he wants people to realize, that everything that he did in that segment was true. That yes, those were actors that were playing Bobby Lashley's sisters, but that everything, that everything that he was talking about or having them talk about and such was all rooted in reality. And he says that people will look back on the segment favorably in the future. Which future would that be? The one where gerbils will rule the world? Because that's only the one thing that might be less fucked up than that segment last week. Sammy says he's the one doing the right thing with that segment last week and trying to show that Bobby Lashley is a bully and that he was, he's the one that's getting in trouble and all this stuff like that. He feels like everyone should say that they're sorry to him. He says that he deserves better, that he should be in the ladder match, and he should be fighting Seth Rollins for the IC belt, and not issuing an apology in front of a group of disgusting fans in Richmond, Virginia. Yeah, that's really a way to endear yourself to people, Sammy. Besides the fact that you're so endearing right now anyway. Oh, listen, crickets. This brings out Bobby Lashley, which suits me just fine, because I could look at Bobby Lashley all day long. He is ridiculously handsome and has a beautiful smile. And he comes out to the ring, and I was kind of like, okay, this isn't kind of what I thought was going to happen. I figured he'd come out and, be in full rage monster mode or something. But he's like totally calm and totally smiling and being very, polite and doesn't tear Sammy's head off. Before he goes any further, he says that Memorial Day is an important day for everybody and for families like his. And he says that, everybody who has loved ones who have served in the military, that he and his family are, saluting them and thanking them for their services. The crowd starts yelling USA, which is great and understandable. Bobby's still being like, it's what happened last week, it happened and stuff. And, his sisters, who Sammy had never actually talked to, thought that the whole thing from last week was, amusing. And Lashley's, Bobby keeps talking about how they've got issues and, since they seem to have these issues, let's try and settle it in the ring at Money in the Bank. And he told Sammy that, maybe you should kind of, not write checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash, and offered to shake his hand. And Sammy shook his hand and said that he was going to kick the smile off of Bobby's face. The problem is that Bobby's still holding on to his hand. Bobby's not letting go of his hand. Bobby is now squeezing his hand. very tightly. And I would think, since Bobby Lashley is built like a brick, a brick doghouse, that he would have a very painful grip. And considering the fact that Sami Zayn's making noises that I don't usually hear men make, it sounds like it hurts a lot. I would probably be remiss if I didn't point out this was also a point when I started laughing kind of like the Joker. It's a good thing I'm cute, otherwise I'd be really worried about myself. Lashley goes on to say he also has an apology, that he is apologizing in advance for everything that he's going to do to Sami at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Well, that was nice. That was very Christian of him. That was very nice. If you're going to kick somebody's ass, if you apologize before you kick their ass, that's very nice. That's just the soul of Christian charity right there. He lets go of Sami's hand, which amazingly is still like on his wrist and not crumpled and just hanging there limp. And walks out of the ring as Sami's now just sitting there on the mat holding what's left of his hand. Following that is a Mickie James promo where she's talking about the fact that she knows how to get in, when an opportunity comes her way, she's quick to grab it, and she's going to win the gauntlet match this evening. We have Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre coming down to the ring, which leads to a match between Drew McIntyre and Chad Gable, which leads to a Claymore kick and Drew McIntyre winning the match. Big surprise there. Following that, we have the B-Team Memorial Day Barbecue, which is... I didn't even pay attention to how many minutes of my life I'm not going to be able to get back. Which it has all of the tag teams, that aren't, that aren't the tag team champions in the ring. And it basically devolves into an enormous food fight. I'm sorry. I watch stuff like this. Whenever they do the food fight stuff, I'm sorry. I realize some people are, if you're of a certain age, I don't know if parents still do this anymore, but all I know is when I see the food fight stuff, all I hear is my mom's voice in my head going, people are starving in China and they're throwing food around. It's that Yankee thrift, man. We can't throw away anything, and we can't stand to see food go to waste. The whole fiasco ends with the B team putting Rhino through a table. Why? And tack about 50 more whys on there. It wasn't funny. It didn't advance a storyline. It was stupid. It just, seriously, did nothing for me. Then we get more of this in the back with the B team going back to Kurt Angle and demanding a title shot. And Angle being like, if I wasn't going to give you one before, after that shit show, you think I'm going to give you one now? Which is, I think, what he really wanted to say. Instead, there's going to be a tag team battle royal next week with the winners challenging the tag team champions at Money in the Bank. The main event of the evening is a gauntlet match, and the winner will earn a slot in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So it is Liv Morgan versus Sasha Banks versus Ruby Riott versus Dana Brooks versus Sarah Logan versus Mickie James versus Bayley. Lot of great stuff back and forth. I have to say I was really impressed to actually have the women's match be the main event. I was like, that's nice. I was like really, really impressed with that. The whole thing ended up with Sasha Banks winning after pinning Ruby Riott with the bank statement. So Sasha is going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match for the ladies at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. A lot of good moments during this show, a lot of bad moments, and a lot of moments where I'm just going, please, can I fast forward? Oh, wait, this is live TV. Shit! Don't you hate that? You're watching a live show and you're like you're hitting the remote, fuck, forward. Oh, crap, I have to watch this live, son of a bitch. So anyway, moving on to the next night, we are in the beautiful town of Raleigh, North Carolina for SmackDown Live. And we begin the show with Samoa Joe coming to the ring where he takes a ladder out and is talking about how he's going to kick Daniel Bryan's ass, so on and so forth. And it's just, the usual, I'm a big bad motherfucker and I'm going to kick your ass and all this stuff like that. Which brings out Daniel Bryan, and I'm kind of like, you know what? I really, really and truly want Samoa Joe to get his ass handed to him by Daniel Bryan. I really do, because I really can't stand Samoa Joe right now, which is his job. He's, I know it's his job. He's a heel and stuff like that. But there's certain people that there's, I guess it's kind of, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to be so good at being a heel that you're like, boo, you suck, we hate you, get off my TV, also known as X-Pac heat. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if anybody else feels that way about Joe. I don't know. So before they can actually have their match, because Daniel Bryan's like, well, fuck it, let's go right now. Out comes Big Cass, who's on crutches thanks to Daniel Bryan. And we've got Cass throwing his 2 cents into it. And when he tries to hit Bryan with his crutch, he manages to miss him and hits Joe. Bryan starts with some kicks, and it turns into a complete mess, and Cass winds up hitting Joe and Daniel with the briefcase. We see Shinsuke Nakamura in the back, and he has some cards that he's tossing, that are numbered 1 through 10, because apparently somebody saw that old Bob Dylan video. Go ask your parents. In the back, we have Paige, who is I don't know if accosted is the right word, but runs into Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, who are kind of complaining about the fact that Asuka has a shot against the women's champion. I'm like, it's Asuka? Shut up. Basically that's my attitude. She's Asuka, you're not. So there's that. Paige tells Mandy that she's going to face Asuka, and so that she can find out why Asuka is a contender for the belt. Renee Young talks to Paige about Cass's comments earlier in the evening, and she says that she knows now that Cass is medically cleared. So the match this evening that was going to be Samoa Joe versus Daniel Bryan is now a triple threat match with the inclusion of Big Cass. The first match of the evening, yes, we've been going on this long, and we finally have the first match of the show, which is Shinsuke Nakamura against Ty Dillinger, with Nakamura beating Dillinger with the Kinshasa for the count of 3. After the match is done, Nakamura decides to hit Dillinger with a knee to the back of the head, and then gets on the microphone and shows that he can count to 10. So they have Sesame Street in Japan, too. That's nice. An interview in the back with AJ Styles talks about how he is ready to just, rip Shinsuke to pieces, which I'm totally down with, to be perfectly honest with you. We see Rusev and Aiden English, because that's all we see of them together, are giving tips to Lana because she is having a dance-off this evening against Naomi because... yeah. Oh, listen, crickets again. After commercial, we come back and Aiden English and Rusev give Lana an introduction. Naomi comes down to the ring and she is joined by Jimmy and Jey Uso because, hello, Rusev and Aiden English are still out here. Lana does her dancing first and then Naomi does hers. And then there's, after the first round, there's round 2, and during which Lana decides that she's basically done with dancing and starts attacking Naomi. Rusev pulls Lana off. Lana slaps Jimmy, and Naomi hits Lana. The Usos super kick Aiden and Rusev off of the ring apron, and Naomi hits Lana with the rear view. And that solved what exactly? Moved along a storyline, bored the fucking shit out of everybody, confused the fucking shit out of everybody. Your guess is as good as mine. The New Day in the back have their pancakes delivered to them. I can't believe I just read that out loud. I mean, the things you do when you're a wrestling fan. And then we deal with Miz in his locker room training, Dr. Evil quotes, for the match coming up with the New Day, with Sheamus and Cesaro slinging pancakes at Miz, and he's blocking them, and it's kind of like that scene from Deadpool 2 with Cable shooting at Deadpool and Deadpool's knocking away the bullets with the swords, except for the fact that scene was really cool and awesome, and the thing with Miz was stupid. It's like, kind of like that scene, but not, sorry, went into my Valley Girl moment there. So that brings us to the next match, which is Miz, Sheamus, and Cesaro going against all the members of the New Day, which ends with Miz getting a big ending from Big E. And you can hear people starting to write fanfic. And the winners of the match being Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Big E. In the back, Renee Young is interviewing Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and they're talking about how they're going to be going against the Bludgeon Brothers, and that they're going to, they're going to take it to the Bludgeon Brothers and beat them. And the Bludgeon Brothers show up on the monitor and start talking about, the depraved infecting the decent and corrupting souls and liquefying bodies. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're evil. We get it. It's like, So we've taken this mantle up from Bray Wyatt, have we? Oh, nifty. We have Asuka getting ready for her match against Mandy Rose. And then we have Carmella coming down to the ring to join the announcers for the match that's going to be coming up because we're being punished. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm like, they're letting her near a mic. They're letting her near a live mic. Oh, crap. The match of Mandy Rose versus Asuka starts off to a great start with Asuka not even getting to the ring before she's attacked by Sonya Deville. The whole thing ends with Asuka getting Mandy in the Asuka lock and Mandy tapping out. And Carmella apparently doesn't know well enough to just stay the fuck away from Asuka if you possibly can, and gets into the ring to show her belt. Because Carmella's kind of stupid like that, I guess. I'm sorry, this is Asuka. What the fuck are you doing? Are you some kind of a fucking idiot or something? In the back, we see all of the proceedings going on with Charlotte and Becky Lynch watching the monitor. And Charlotte saying that she thinks that Asuka is going to win the title at Money in the Bank. And Charlotte says she's going to win the briefcase, and then they will have a rematch of their match at WrestleMania. Becky tells Charlotte that she needs to look at her and see who's going to win Money in the Bank. And there's, there's a little more back and forth. Charlotte's saying that she knows that Becky wants to win really badly, but Charlotte says that she needs the win. That she needs to get her title back. And it's the whole I'm going to win, no, I'm going to win kind of deal. And Paige shows up and says that, this kind of competition is just what this show needs, basically. And she says that, she kind of reminds Becky and Charlotte of their time together and, when they were a unit, and the whole 4 horsewomen thing, and then brings up that it's tea time. It's like 9 something. I'm like, I don't think that's now. I mean, it might be in England. I don't know. Time differences fuck with my head. After a commercial break, we're told that next week Jimmy Uso and Naomi will be going against Lana and Aiden English. That makes no sense, but whatever. And Charlotte Flair will be going against Becky Lynch. So that at least is going to be awesome. We see Andrade Almas coming out of the locker room area and Sin Cara just saying, hey. Zelina Vega decides to start getting in Sin Cara's face and asking why he's talking to her client and saying that Andrade is the future of the business and that Sin Cara's a nobody. And I'm like, and you look like you just walked off a telenovela. You're so tarted up. So, who are you again? So I'm like, whatever. And that brings us to Big Cass going against Samoa Joe, going against Daniel Bryan in a Money in the Bank qualifying match, which winds up being won by Samoa Joe after Daniel Bryan gets locked in the coquina clutch and passes out. Once the match is done, Cass waits around for Daniel to get up and then hits him with a kick in the head because he's a dick. I mean, basically, he's a dick that's no other way to word it. If I had to say which show was better this week, I would definitely have to go with SmackDown. I mean, the whole dance-off thing, while it was like, it was less, inducing than the whole Memorial Day barbecue / food fight, so on and so forth. Why are we being punished like this portion of Raw? So we're still leading up and marching forward, as I said, to Money in the Bank. So we'll see what happens when that pay-per-view occurs. That's going to wrap it up for me this week on Ring Around the Rosie. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, if you have any questions or comments or queries or complaints or anything you'd like to send my way, please send it to platinumroselle@yahoo.com. I hope you will listen to the other shows that are part of our little island of misfit toys. My other solo show, Platinum Rose's Garden, I did a season in review looking back at season 13 of Supernatural, so I hope you will check that out. It's the last show before I come back in October when season 14 kicks off. If you want to go back and listen to some earlier shows and episode recaps and all the crazy shit that I do on Platinum Rose's Garden, you can do that over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com. And hopefully you will check out the other shows that we have, as I mentioned, including Subject Cinema, which is the movie podcast TC and I do, and have been doing for 10 plus years. Holy shit. That's a long time. We have our list show, Front Row 5 and 10, which is where we count up one list of 10 things or two lists of 5 things. And it's all kinds of different crazy topics and stuff like that, and it's a lot of fun. I hope you can check that out as well. TC has some solo shows that he does too, including Catastrophe Vortex, which is his disaster movie podcast. He is a disaster movie junkie, so you can definitely check him out if you like movies about floods and fires and hurricanes and tornadoes and meteor swarms and all that kind of fun stuff like that there. And he has 2 mini shows, including 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex, which are shows that are looking at what is debuting this week in the movies when it comes to stuff opening up at the theater, stuff opening up on demand, starting, on Netflix, or, new DVDs coming out, stuff like that, so you know where to spend your money. We also have Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie and their kids and anybody else they can get to come and talk on their microphone. They're super cool people and really, really fun. And there's Comic Grotto, which is currently in hiatus, but you can go check, earlier episodes with Aunt B. And, that's a great show too. And also, if you are so inclined, you can check out our dramatic podcast, which we did all together. Everybody involved with our little family of podcasts was involved with Manhattan Hammerdown as it happened. This was done in conjunction with the 10-year anniversary of the release of the J.J. Abrams film Cloverfield. It's our audio drama about other things that were going on in New York the night something very large and extremely aggressive came out of New York Harbor. It was a lot of fun. It's a real labor of love, and TC wrote it, so it's really, really good. I'm totally biased that way, but I don't care. He's my guy and I love him. And I hope you can search for Manhattan Hammerdown and take a listen to it. And I hope you'll take a listen, and I hope you listen to all our shows and give them a like, and definitely like, share, subscribe, talk us up, talk me up if you'd like. And so, as May is coming to a close and June is looking to bust out all over, lucky girl, this is Kim Brown signing off for another week here on Ring Around the Rosie. I'll catch you next week. Bye!
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.